This is the world's first transparent rubber band gun. You can see every mechanism working in real time, including a burst fire system, laser aiming, and the simplest trigger mechanism I've ever made. Fitting all of that inside a transparent body wasn't easy. So let's start with the trigger mechanism. Using this template, I marked out identical trigger layers, glued them together, and then sanded everything for a smooth finish. Next step is to make the laser to aim accurately. I rolled a sheet of paper around a marker shell and made a paper tube by hardening it with superglue, then cut it out to the right length. Later, I made a stick to fit in the holes I made in the paper tube and inserted a spring to make the mechanism work. The idea was simple. Pushing the stick will contract the spring and click the laser button, turning it on. And to keep it on, I would push the stick in this hole. But the pressure was too low and it didn't work as I thought. So I had to rebuild the entire thing again. If you are a teenager or older, you've already used these cap markers before, right? So I just kinda used the same principle and made a new button thing so the laser stays lit. And now, oh yes gentlemen, it's working. Now it's time to make the transparent body. I took a roll of tape and stuck it on both sides of a plastic sheet. Then I put the templates in place and taped them too. Now let's begin with sawing. The mechanism is way easier than my web shooter and other DIY projects, but the material is way harder to deal with. I had to go out of my comfort zone to cut in a new way that I have never done before. To be able to have results like this at the end, I had to drill a hole in the middle, put my saw blade through the hole and saw the trigger area really carefully. Another thing was that my saw blade was not big enough and I had to snap plastic sheets strategically. By the way, I do have a template to make your life easier. You just print the template, glue it on cardboard and make a cardboard version of this without measuring anything or stressing to figure out which part to glue before or later, because it has a step-by-step free video to explain everything. The link is in the description. Now that every piece has been cut out, I put them on layer by layer to check if it's even working, and to my surprise, I am on the right road. But the trigger mechanism was still not finished. To make everything work, I added these two pieces on both sides, and now that I've made this part, I peeled off the safety layers and tested it and it worked pretty fine. Now let's get to drilling. Speaking of drilling, before I had even cut the layer, I hammered the crosses to make drilling easier. And of course for the DIY cardboard rubber gun, in short CRG, you will not need them and there are no crosses to overwhelm you, except for one. More about that while assembling. Before the next step, I sprayed the mechanism and the laser to match my brand color. While they were drying, I cleaned the particles from drilling, which also took a lot of time, but the result is so cold. If you know, you know. After drilling, I realized that the holes I made to fit the gun are not lining up correctly. That's actually really bad. And now I have to fix that. Not sure how. So to fix the hole alignment, I taped the entire thing like it should be assembled at the end with paper tape and drilled to everything at once. This step was actually a huge risk, because if I mess up here, everything is over and the material would be wasted. But lucky me, it went all good. Next, I also made the hole deeper with this tip, which just makes the top surface smoother and not like this, looking out to get on everyone's nerves. After cleaning everything, I assembled the DIY TRG again. But soon I realized a big problem, which could ruin the entire project if not fixed. As you can see, the trigger mechanism is way thicker than the layers. That makes pulling the trigger way harder, and the laser was too big and the nuts came out from the hole I made for them, so they stay in place. That is the reason why the gun is rattling like this. The only solution to that is adding 1mm spacers to make the mechanism work smoothly, and adding these tiny pieces to prevent the nuts losing their place. And now it's solved. After screwing everything back, it finally works. But I still need to cut the rest of the bolts. After doing that, it's done. There is one more thing to explain. The reason the trigger comes back is because I drilled a hole in the mechanism piece and put a rubber band in it. Then I fixed the rubber using a stick. And the hole I made in the body is exactly what you will need for your cardboard rubber gun. But let me tell you how this thing actually works. So you stuck the rubber band through the aim piece starting from the end one. one by one, in total 3. Then you start pulling the trigger slowly, just like this. If you want a burst shot, pull the trigger at once when all the rubber bands are loaded. I will shoot 2 rounds to test this gun, one from 1 meter distance and one from 3 meter. And right after the first round at 1 meter, I realized how bad the aim on this thing is. But then I loaded only 1 rubber band and it became a banger. I shot every target in first round. But at 3 meters, the problem is physics. Because the rubber bands are so light, they just love to fly off direction. So it's an easy win at 1 meter. But look-wise, you cannot argue with me, because it just looks dope. In this video, we made the trigger with solely popsicle stick. The laser mechanism using the simplest way being used for decades, and at last but not the least, we turned a sheet of plastic in multiple pieces, assembled them together and made the first DIY transparent rubber gun in the history of YouTube. Thanks for watching. Here is another great video.